How amazing was Chad Ochocinco actually? When you think of NFL wide receivers who left an indelible mark on the game, names like Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, and Terrell Owens often come to mind. But among these legends stands a figure as flamboyant as he was talented: Chad Ochocinco. With his gold teeth, gold hair, and eventually a gold jacket, he was more than just a player. He was a spectacle, a showman who redefined the wide receiver position in the 2000s. But beneath the antics and the bravado, how amazing was Chad Ochocinco actually? Let's dive in. Chad Johnson was raised by his grandmother in a challenging area of Miami, an environment reminiscent of GTA Vice City. Amidst the money hustlers and streetwalkers, football became Johnson's escape. His playmaking ability was obvious from a young age, but his journey was marred by poor behavior and even poorer grades. These issues kept him from playing Division I college ball initially, steering him instead to Santa Monica Community College. At Santa Monica, he encountered wide receivers coach Charles Collins, who took the cocky young receiver under his wing. Collins told Johnson exactly what he needed to hear. He thought he could play, but he couldn't play worth a turd, and he was really a turd. This blunt honesty drove Johnson to quickly shed his troublesome reputation and become a key contributor to the team. However, academic issues persisted, making him ineligible to play in the 1998 season. With Collins' guidance and his tell-it-like-it-is approach, Johnson got his grades up and his game stepped up. After 3 years of junior college, he transferred to Oregon State, leading the Beavers to an 11-1 record in a season where Johnson caught everything, including the attention of NFL scouts. At Oregon State, Johnson's talent blossomed. He became a crucial part of the team, helping lead the Beavers to one of their best seasons ever. His performance on the field was stellar, but off the field, Johnson continued to struggle academically. Despite these challenges, his exceptional play could not be ignored. NFL scouts took notice, and Johnson's path to the professional league was set. His time at Oregon State was brief but impactful, demonstrating his potential to be a game-changing player at the next level. In the 2001 NFL Draft, Johnson was selected 36th overall by the Cincinnati Bengals, a team that had not delivered a winning season for over a decade. The Bengals continued to struggle in his first 2 seasons, but number 85's commitment and love for the game never wavered. He once stated, "I heard players talking about that they don't want to come to the Bengals, but this is where I want to be. Are they losing? Well, I'm going to do everything I can to change everything around." His dedication was unparalleled. He literally slept in the stadium's players' lounge during his first 2 years in the league, making it easy to be the first one in and the last one out. His hard work and determination began to pay off. Following a disastrous 2-win season in 2002, the Bengals hired Marvin Lewis to transform the team into a playoff contender. Johnson, however, had his sights even higher. Secret? I want to be one of the greatest to ever play this game. That's not a secret. But I want to be better than Rice, he declared. With the support of his teammates and coaches, Johnson was ready to elevate his game. Even with his sky-high aspirations, the Bengals started the 2003 season with a disappointing 1-4 record. The breaking point for Johnson came after a Week 5 overtime loss against Buffalo. Frustrated by his performance, he wrote Bengals offensive coordinator Brad Kowalski a $100,000 check, telling him to cash it if he couldn't perform at a high level against their rival, the Baltimore Ravens, the next game. Johnson delivered, racking up 130 yards and smoking Hall of Fame safety Ed Reed on an 82-yard touchdown. Kowalski tore up Johnson's $100,000 check the very next day. As the season rolled on, his dynamic playmaking ability and national popularity soared. He loved the game, but he also loved making the lives of opposing defenders miserable with his feet and his mouth. Johnson's verbal jabs and creative one-liners were legendary, redefining NFL trash talk. He would get under his opponent's skin, not just before or after the play, but even during it. This was evidenced by his relentless banter with defenders, a unique trait that set him apart from his peers. Johnson finished the 2003 season setting a new Bengals single-season franchise record for receiving yards, the first of 3 times he would break it during his career. Over the next 2 years, as his game improved, so did his knack for coming up with new ways to get under his opponent's skin. Once, he sent a care package of Pepto-Bismol to the entire Browns secondary, suggesting they'd be sick to their stomachs trying to cover him. Johnson was a showman, and he needed that showmanship to fuel his game. In 2005, he created his famous Who Covered 85 and 05 list, which listed names of opposing teams' star defensive backs next to a space for Chad to mark if they successfully covered him or not. Coach Lewis wasn't a fan of this stunt, but Johnson persisted. It was clear that no one could consistently cover Chad Johnson. That year, the Bengals secured their first division title since 1990, with Johnson leading the AFC in receiving yards for the 3rd straight year. His over-the-top touchdown celebrations further elevated his profile from star receiver to superstar receiver. From river dancing to proposing to a cheerleader, Johnson's antics were both entertaining and memorable. As the 2006 season began, he found himself in a rut. An early playoff loss to Pittsburgh and an injury-plagued start left him searching for a change. During the NFL's celebration of Spanish Heritage Month, he began referring to himself as Ochocinco, the supposed Spanish translation of his jersey number 85. Although the translation wasn't accurate, it didn't matter. The nickname stuck. The equipment manager even created a Velcro tearaway Ochocinco jersey for pre-game. And just like that, a new persona was born. In a Week 10 matchup against the Chargers, Johnson went into God mode, hauling in 260 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. He considered this game the high watermark of his career. To this day, Johnson tips his waitstaff $260 at restaurants, commemorating each yard gained in that epic game. The numbers didn't stop there. In the following game against New Orleans, Johnson racked up 3 touchdowns and 190 receiving yards, setting an NFL record for the most receiving yards in back-to-back games. The Bengals finished that season with a .500 record, but he still turned in a monster year, leading the NFL in receiving yards with 1,369. His celebrations became even more elaborate, and in 2007, he donned a future Hall of Famer jacket. While this stunt was considered a bit braggadocious, it showcased Johnson's confidence and showmanship. Despite his continued success on the field, his antics began to wear thin on the Bengals organization, especially as the team struggled. In 2008, he legally changed his name to Chad Ochocinco, partly as a reaction to being fined by the NFL for uniform violations. The name change was seen as another eccentric move, but it reflected Johnson's desire to control his own narrative. However, the Bengals' performance on the field was dismal, starting the season 0-8. In 2009, Johnson embraced a new catchphrase, "Child, please," a polite way of telling someone to get lost. This attitude helped rejuvenate the Bengals, who finished with a 10-6 record and won the AFC North. Johnson's antics continued, including field goal kicks, sideline dress-up routines, and attempted bribes of referees. Despite the fun, the Bengals were knocked out of the playoffs by the Jets, and the season ended in disappointment. The following year, the Bengals brought in Terrell Owens, hoping to create a dynamic receiving duo. While the pairing of Johnson and Owens, dubbed Batman and Robin, was exciting, it didn't translate to success on the field. The team finished a disappointing 4-12, and the experiment was deemed a failure. In the offseason, he was traded to the New England Patriots. The move to a new team and new coach, Bill Belichick, offered hope for rejuvenation, similar to Randy Moss's career resurgence in 2007. However, he struggled to adapt to his new role, posting career lows in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. Despite the Patriots' successful season, which saw them reach the Super Bowl, Johnson's impact was minimal. Following his release from the Patriots, Johnson signed a one-year deal with the Miami Dolphins, his hometown team. However, an off-field incident involving a domestic dispute led to his release, effectively ending his NFL career. Despite his unceremonious exit from the league, Johnson left behind a legacy of spectacular performances, unforgettable celebrations, and a larger-than-life personality. Over his 11-year career, he amassed 6 Pro Bowl selections, 2 All-Pro honors, and every major Bengals receiving record. His feet were arguably the fastest the league had ever seen, and his mouth was equally unmatched, running constantly to get into the heads of his opponents. Love him or hate him, Johnson didn't care, as long as you were tuning in to the Ochocinco Show. So the next time you find yourself reminiscing about the golden era of football, remember the man who made every game feel like a spectacle. This is Ochocinco, forever etched in the annals of NFL history as one of the most amazing players to ever grace the gridiron.